Joining us now to review headlines of today's newspaper from around the world is a Rise News analyst, Emmanuel Great Malawite Efeni. Good morning, great to have you, sir.
Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Vimba.
Good morning, Mr. Fani.
Yes, we'll start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record, where we'll start with something that concerns us. Just above the lead story, Federal Court quashes regulation empowering NBC to fund broadcast media. Yes, yesterday, the Federal Court in Abuja, the court where Justice Ofili Ajimogobia sat yesterday, of course, ruled in that case brought by the Media Rights Agenda on behalf of three pay TV platforms that were fined 5 million naira each by the NBC over the airing of documentary on banditry and insecurity in Zamfara State. And the court held that the NBC acted above its powers, not being a court of law, to impose those fines. And of course, insisted that as the representative of this media house of MRA, Media Rights Agenda, contended in his submission, the judge agreed that the investigation purportedly carried out by the NBC leading to the fines were ultra-vires, null and void. Well, the powers of the NBC to regulate is not in doubt. But how the regulation is carried out is what has been the bone of contention. Whether the NBC can be a judge in its own case. The NBC accuses, investigates, judges, and fines. That is what the court has now said, no, you don't have such powers. Acting in such a way is against the principles stated in the Constitution. And I'm sure with this, yes, it also talked of it will be a threat to freedom of speech, freedom of information, which the media has a right to carry out its job in informing the populace. Well, we just move over to other stories. We cannot overflog this matter because it's something that concerns all broadcasters.
But I feel like you're smiling a bit too much.
No, there's nothing to gloat about this. But I think the court judgment is well written, and I think the issues are well stated as canvassed by the Media Rights Agenda, and the judge saw through it and has given this judgment. Now, if we look at the lead story of the front page of this quickly, Wike, we must stop paying ransom to kidnappers, bandits. Federal government declares crowdfunding for ransom in kidnap cases against extant law. Rise in criminal activities demand immediate, resolute action from all, says Inspector General of Police. Inaugurates Special Intervention Squad for Battle, FCTA, to compile list of illegal settlements, shanties. Well, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory had a town hall yesterday where he made several statements that are now grabbing the headline. Well, it's good to talk tough, but we need more action. Yes, nobody is encouraging people to be gathering crowdfunding to pay ransom, but when people are helpless, they resort to all they can to free their loved ones. Nigerians will recall that those Akwa Ibom youth corpers who were kidnapped on their way to their youth service location somewhere around Sokoto State, some of them are still in captivity. Yeah. because their own parents, their families, have not been able to raise the money the kidnappers asked for. Those whose families were able to raise the money have been set free. What is the government doing? What is the law enforcement agency doing to free those youth corpers who are still in captivity? There are many others that were kidnapped from schools that are still in captivity. Nothing has been done to rescue them, and of course, their families have not been able to raise the fund because the same school where some students were taken at the same time, because the families were able to pay up, they've released those ones. So that is the problem. Securing the country so that citizens will be safe. And when these kind of breaches happen, we see the law enforcement going full force to bring out those who are in captivity. That is the real issue, not just talking tough about what will happen to those who kidnap and those who are paying ransom. Yes, people know the extant law, but when you have your loved one in captivity, you will do everything to secure its release. That is where we are now. Now, the New Telegraph also reporting the story, kidnapping, crowdfunding for ransom payment unlawful, federal government. Now, the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, the Ibadan-based Nigerian Tribune newspaper, writing the lead story, Ibadan explosion, victims recount ordeal, 58 houses damaged, foreigners listed as owners of mining company, while the Nation newspaper putting the numbers to it now, Ibadan explosion, 3 dead, 77 injured, 58 houses damaged. Of course, there was an update on the figures on this program where Mr. Owoshini said he just received a report that 2 more dead have been pulled out. So we're talking about 5 persons dead in that explosion. Now, the Punch newspaper, Ibadan explosion, residents blame Malians, illegal miners as federal government probe blast. There were corpses all over the street, say residents. Foreign names behind explosion. Makinde fish out those responsible. Tinubu tells police. IG dispatches and T-bombs unit, 58 houses damaged or destroyed. The Business Day newspaper, IOC's exit deals to test Tinubu's investment drive. Yes, the international oil companies that are divesting, somebody called it asset dumping yesterday, but it's a test case for the Tinubu administration's drive, because as we go from one capital, world capital, to another to seek investors, those that are here, some are leaving, some are dumping the assets and concentrating, in the case of Shell yesterday, concentrating on the deep water exploration and exploitation of petroleum. Now, if we look at the foreign newspapers quickly, yes, the Guardian newspaper reporting, Sunak's Rwanda bill survives as Tory revolt melts away for now. Well, yesterday, of course, the Tories who were revolting had to think twice yesterday, and of course, that bill went through for now. Now, if we look at the Daily Telegraph newspaper of UK, hospital surgery for king and princess. Yes, dual alert as palaces announce prostate treatment and abdominal operation for the royal. So we wish the king of England, King Charles III, well, speedy recovery, and of course, the princess who is also having abdominal operation. And of course, the Washington Post newspaper, Israel blamed for aid delays. Yes, the deal to allow aid into Gaza, well, not quite actualized. And Israel is being blamed for the delays. Rufai, Ayo, and Wembai.
I mean, so what else do we need to say? Ayo asked a very important question for Mr. Fatai Owosheni and was able to update us on the death toll. So 5 people and all of that, and 77 people still injured. But some updates too, some people too have been released from UCH, discharged from UCH in Ibadan and other hospitals out there. But I think what is most important is it's another negligence on behalf of government. I talked about the domino effect. When the domino effect starts, everything crashes. How can you have explosives come in and you don't have the proper regulations as regards safeguarding the explosives in this country for mining companies?
There is regulation. It's enforcement of regulation that is the problem.
So if you have regulation and there's no enforcement of regulation, it's as good as not having regulation in the first place. Because if there were regulations that were properly enforced, this should not have happened.
Who is in charge of enforcement?
That's just it.
I think those are the questions we'll be asking.
And it goes back also to people around there. We can't keep saying we prevent it in the name of Jesus. In the name of, no, it's not going to work. Now properties have been damaged, livelihoods have been damaged, people have been damaged forever. So what are we going to do from this? And how do we have many homes still in the same place in Ibadan, in residential areas, that they are explosives? We should start combing that now.
No, they say people are not giving information.
So
I haven't seen this devastation.
So we should start giving information. Because, you see, it's just how we don't learn. And we don't try as much as possible to keep things properly. It's so sad that this reminds me of the Ikeja cantonments too. How bombs were not properly stored. And funny enough, happened 27th of January. Same January.
Few days.
So we need to go back and learn. We don't learn. We take too many things for granted, and that's why we have the problems we have. Look at that crater alone.
Well, well, out of time now, unfortunately. But if I just express what we thought, we had a good interview with Mr. Owosheni, so people might want to refer to that as well, in terms of government effort to ensuring that this does not occur again. But he did say something very important. When it comes to the securing of lives and property, the state government cannot do it alone. He said that they had been trying to get the military to work with them to stem this issue, this pandemic of illegal mining. And he said they haven't gotten, favorable response. So maybe this is a call also to the military. I know their hands are full at the moment.
So there's a lot of work for the Minister of Mines.
As well, yes, of course.
Solid minerals.
Yes.
He has a lot of work to do.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, do we have time?
Well, very quickly, in just 30 seconds, Rishi Sunak, Rwanda bill.
Yeah.
I just want to tie it to the comment yesterday from the president saying, we'll train more people. People Jakwa will train more people. They don't want us there. So let's make sure home is a good place to be. They'll block us there soon.
Thank you so much, Mr. Efeni.